This brother who was brought in to arbitrate between us then went and asked for my now ex-wife's hand in marriage. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's going on, guys? How we doing? This discussion I'm about to talk with you today, I covered it briefly, lightly on my stream the other day. But I feel it deserves more importance. It deserves more time to talk about. And I'm going to share with you an experience that I went through. An experience that I went through a few years ago. So me and my wife, we were going through some difficulties. We're having some troubles in the marriage. And she brought in an arbitrator to arbitrate between us, which is the correct thing to do. That's what you do. We brought in this arbitrator. Now, this brother, he's a well-known Muslim figure, particularly in the Muslim community here in the UK. He's a well-known brother. I'm not going to name him right now. Very knowledgeable, very well established here in the UK in terms of his teaching of the deen and so on and so forth. And he came in and arbitrated between me and my wife. And, you know, he was helpful. I have to say he was helpful. He didn't disappoint in terms of the advice that he gave both myself and my wife. However, it wasn't to be. We were unable to make it work. And my wife and myself, we went our separate ways. I find out a short while afterwards, and I can't say for sure whether it was whilst me and my wife were married or whether it was just after we had gone our separate ways from each other. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say that it had happened after we had gone our separate ways. It just so transpired that this brother who was brought in to arbitrate between us then went and asked for my now ex-wife's hand in marriage. He went and asked for her hand in marriage. Brothers, if you're bringing in another brother to arbitrate between you and your wife when you're having difficulties, I need you to understand something. Some brothers are out here trying to wife up your wife or soon to be ex-wife. That's how they're moving. They are so overly or overwhelmed by their own sexual desires. Their own sexual desires are so overwhelming that they cannot help but ask the hands of women whom they really shouldn't be asking for. Now, let's address this from a Shari'i perspective to begin with. Did the brother, assuming that this brother, this individual, and again, I'm going to keep him anonymous because I don't feel it's right to name him, even though I have been asked to name him in the past. I have been asked to name and shame, so to speak, so that we know, so that you guys know who to not bring in to arbitrate between you. But this doesn't feel right. That feels off. It doesn't feel like the correct thing to do. Maybe down the line, if I hear otherwise that I should do this, then I'll share it with you. But the first thing that you guys need to be aware of is, as I just mentioned, be careful whom you bring in to arbitrate to be between yourselves. Now, did the brother, assuming that he asked for my then ex-wife's hand in marriage after we had gotten divorced, did he do anything haram? No. Nothing haram about it. It's fair game. Nothing haram about it at all. It's from a Shari'i perspective, it is not haram. The woman is now single. She's past her iddah. Okay, no problem. It's an open market, so to speak. It's fair game. All is fair in love and war. No problem at all. From a Shari'i perspective. But I want you to now ask yourself, because I can already feel the brothers who are married getting triggered, thinking about their own wives having sought arbitration for some sheikh, somebody that they looked up to, and then that sheikh asks for the hand of your wife or ex-wife's hand in marriage. I can already sense your frustration and anger. So it's not haram, which means it's not wrong. But just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. Let me say that again. Just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean you should do something. What do I mean by that? There's many things that you can do, that you have the right to do, that you have the right to ask for or to take from and so on. But is it the wisest course of action? Is it wise? How does that reflect on you after the fact? What type of impact could this have on your reputation after the fact? What am I saying here? Okay, so the brother, he did something that was halal. It's not a problem, it's not haram. But what type of reputation, if his name came out, if I made his name aware, and I'm sure I'm not the first to have experienced this. I'm sure he's probably done it before. What type of reputation would he have if it came out that he is the man who arbitrates between husband and wife, but if husband and wife can't figure it out, he then goes to ask for the hand in marriage of the now ex-wife or the new divorcee, the new single woman? What type of reputation will you have? How does that reflect upon you? How does that make you look? What type of standing would you have in the community? Brothers will be double guessing, and you know what? Should I really be bringing my wife to this man to arbitrate between us? Should I really be bringing my troubles to this man to arbitrate between us? Because he might go and ask for her hand in marriage. And I've heard some horror stories in the Muslim community. I cannot verify them, and I'm not going to name because I cannot verify them. But I've heard off the grapevine from solid sources that some shuyukh in the Muslim community have even advised sisters to leave their husbands and then come back to find him and marry him once she has left their husband, once she has left her husband. And I've heard this on sound authority from another well-established prominent figure in the Muslim community. Now, I'm not trying to sow discord. I'm not trying to sow seeds of doubt in the minds of the Muslims, particularly in the Muslim community here in the UK. And it's for that reason that I'm not going to name. I'm not going to name. Even though, okay, the second experience, I don't know whether, I can't verify it. The first experience, I went through that. So I can verify it for sure. And I know the brother. And I checked him on it afterwards. I was like, bro, what the hell is this? What the hell is this? But of course, it's perfectly halal, you see. And that's the point that individuals like this will get hung up on. But it's halal, what's the problem? And he's right. It is halal. But you must ask yourself, just because you can, doesn't necessarily mean you should. I can do it, but should I do it? How does that reflect upon me afterwards? What advice am I giving you brothers right now? Be careful whom you take your marital problems to. Be careful. Be careful. And I can't even necessarily give you an exact guide of what to look out for, because honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know. Just make sure that this brother has a sound reputation. One thing I will say is this, is that this brother, you could say he's a sheikh, he has a reputation of being a ladies' man. In halal, of course, but he has a reputation for it. But just because someone's a ladies' man, it doesn't necessarily mean, you know, that they're going to be coming after your wife. So you can take that with a pinch of salt. The Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, had 9 wives in one time. So just because someone has many wives, multiple wives, doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be coming after your wife. But take that as you will. Do with that as you will. Be careful, brothers.
نار نار سنفجرها برصاص ما نمحوها لعب.